24-17, Colorado beats number 22 Iowa State. Man, they needed this one, Brian.
Yes, they really did. All of them seem relieved, from Coach Prime saying, I don't really, my girl wants to go out after these games and I don't want to. He goes, no, I might actually look forward to it. His comment when he was getting up walking out, he goes, the streets are different after a win. I think that could sum up this game for the Buffs. They needed this one because we had talked about, look, this was sort of a make or break game for this team that, you lose this one, fall to 2-5 going into the bye with at Utah coming out of the bye. That's almost lights out on the season. This, at least for now, saves the season. This puts bowl game back into play. This puts a lot of things back into play for the Buffs. So this was huge.
Iowa State racks up 236 rushing yards, but they're 2 of 12 on third down, and they decide to go for it about, 4th and 1.5 yards at their own 18-yard line with still more than 7 minutes left in the game. And Jeremiah Brown and Amari McNeil team up to force a turnover on downs. That play, and then we'll get to the third down throw from Salter later. Those were the two big moments today for the Buffs.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously weren't in Iowa State's postgame. I'm going to be very curious to see what Matt Campbell said about that play call. 'Cause that was gutsy.
Gutsy's one word.
Yeah.
Not smart, maybe another way to put it.
If you're an Iowa State fan, you're really ticked off at Matt Campbell today, I'm sure. If it works, you love your head coach for that call, right? And quite frankly, the fact they've given up 236 yards and looking at some previous games of the Buffs, I think back to like the Houston game. Why wouldn't teams call that against this team? This team has given up a lot of those plays, but this defense today in some big moments stepped up big time. Jeremiah Brown and Amari McNeil, there were other guys who were right there too. I mean, there were a lot of guys in ready to make that tackle. That was a big moment for the Buffs, and this defense, I mean, that was kind of one of the themes of postgame was, you give up a lot of yards today, but man, this defense came up big in some big moments. Yeah.
Jeremiah Brown had a game-high 10 tackles. He was in the post-game press conference. He commands that press conference room. He's an impressive young man, and it's a good story. He's been with Coach Prime since back at Jackson State and couldn't really figure out what his role was going to be. Kind of went back and forth between inside backer and outside backer, and had some mistakes early on this season, but it seems like he's starting to play really good football for this team.
His story is interesting. He didn't play a whole lot that first year in 2023, and last year he's not getting on the field and decides he and Trevor Woods at the same time decided, you know what, I'm going to sit out the rest of the season in a red shirt, and then he goes in the portal for a few days. Coach Prime talks and says, what are you doing? Stay here. He stays here. I remember that Houston game in particular. I don't think he played very well in that Houston game. He's come back. I think he started the last 2 games. He's played really well. That was as good as we've seen Jeremiah Brown look in a Colorado uniform. And he made some big time plays at Jackson State, but it's been a while, right? That was all the way back 2022. That had to feel really good for Jeremiah Brown.
Carter Stottmeyer was out today, and for a while, so was Tawfiq Byard. And so you had Ben Finiseth out there, and you had John Slaughter playing safety. Tawfiq Byard comes back in, and a couple plays later, he's picking off a pass with a soft cast on his hand. Just another moment for him that just he's a gamer.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he has been one of the best finds for this team, as you look at it. And, he obviously, was on the scout team earlier at the start of the year because he was coming back from an injury. He's been up and down with some injuries. But, man, this defense has been hit with so many injuries. But for him to come back on the same drive that he injured his hand, and I don't know if it was the same drive he injured it, the same drive he came back, and to pick off the pass with a cast, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I don't know why that flag got picked up on that play, though, because it looked like Ivan Yates basically just tackled the Iowa State receiver in the end zone, and it seemed like that contact was happening before Byard had the ball.
Yeah, I imagine that's another interesting soundbite from Matt Campbell today. Yeah. Is that one? I don't know why that one was picked up either, but look, the Buffs have had a lot of other things go against them this year. Yeah. The Buffs needed that, and that's when you just say, okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, even the Omarion Miller hold, I don't know if you call that usually in that situation where Joseph Williams got the taunting call. That was pretty weak too. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really in his face, and he made a big play. By the way, Joseph Williams, we can't get much further into this without talking about him because he was targeted 8 times and caught all 8 of them, including one on 3rd and 17 with just under 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many big catches from Joseph Williams. I mean, you talk about that one. You talk about the touchdown catch. I thought one of his best moments of the day was his very first catch. I mean, the Buffs were, I think it was 2 straight 3-and-outs to start this game. They're looking at a third one in the third drive because they got third and I think 10. And Kaden Salter throws a low throw that Joseph Williams goes down and just kind of scoops it up off the ground for a 13-yard play. That moves the chains and gets them going a little bit. And so I thought even he provided the spark in that way. He was huge today, and he's another one that's like been such a nice find for this team because he's played well this season, but that was a huge game for him.
Kaden Salter has started games really hot early on and then struggled in the second half. Today it was the opposite, and he missed a lot of throws in the first half, throws that you should be able to make. But he comes back out to his credit in the second half and finishes with over 300 yards of offense, 2 touchdowns, doesn't throw a pick, really outplayed Rocco Becht today.
Yeah, and this team needed this victory. I'm not sure there's any one player on this team that needed a game like this more than him, just because you're the quarterback, and that's the most scrutinized position, and we know that Coach Prime and the staff has been frustrated with that position, and last week was not a good game for Kaden Salter. Obviously 3 interceptions at TCU. For him to come back and really, at the start of this game, there's a lot of calls on social media like, why is he still in this game? He was not sharp early. He really came back, and that was a big moment for him, and I think as human beings, you look at these things for these people, and you say, "Man, that's got to be a cool moment for him." I'm sure Coach Prime is proud of him, for that, and that has to feel really good for Kaden Salter. He was such a big part of a win against a top 25 team.
No sacks given up today. Now, Colorado didn't get any sacks on Iowa State either, but Colorado's offensive line continues to play well, and Dallin Hayden, he's got to be the feature back in this program going forward. He's running so hard right now, and I like Michael Welch as a change of pace guy, but Dallin Hayden is this team's best healthy running back.
Yeah, and it took a while for them to get to him. I mean, I think he had, up until the third quarter, he had like 1 carry, then they finally go to him, and I guess maybe the genius of that is that he was really fresh in the second half and had some nice runs, including a big one that was called back. I think that was the Omari Miller hold. But he looked really good. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, I like Michael Welch, but like as your main guy coming out, I don't want that. I want to see Dallin Hayden at this point. And Cam Michael got in there with Draylen Miller out. They're trying a lot of different things, but I like the combo of Hayden and Welch. I would just flip it a little bit and go Hayden first and then Welch.
London Merritt got a start, his first career start today, had 1.5 tackles for a loss, showed up a couple times today. Arden Walker's out. I mentioned Carter Stoutmeier's out. The list is pretty long at this point, and we'll go through all that during the bye week, but I guess my point is the bye week does come at a good time for them.
It really does. And, I'm sure you got the same thing on your timeline on X, but, we tweet out this participation report, and the last one today, I had so many responses like, well, just chalk up a loss today, because of the guys that are out. This team coming back and winning this game was huge, but you're right. I mean, I don't know how many of those guys are out for a while, but there's got to be a lot of guys on this team that could really use a week off of not hitting. They're obviously going to do things this week, but these guys need rest. I mean, this team is banged up, and how many guys were out? Was it like 15, something like that? It was a big number, and so and at key spots. I mean, they're pretty depleted at running back. They're depleted on the defensive line. In the secondary, they've got some key guys out, and so they need some guys to rest a little bit this week.
To close out special teams, Damon Grease had a nice bounce-back effort after a rough game out at TCU, and Alejandro Mata makes his lone field goal attempt. And Buck Buchanan almost with the 57-yarder, but not quite.
He had the distance, but I didn't see. I didn't look up at the replay. Do you know how far wide it was?
I didn't get a great angle on it.
Okay, I didn't see it either, but that would have been a big one. But it was nice to see him actually try one. I mean, we've heard about his big leg. He certainly has the leg for it.
Yeah. And Quentin Gibson, still waiting for him to break one of those, right? It's going to happen at some point.
I keep telling you, man, I don't know how he doesn't have just a bunch of broken bones, because he gets hit and falls harder than I think anybody on this team. But he's a little guy and a jitterbug, and he's exciting every time you watch him because he's so shifty and fast that you can hear at home, especially when he starts running with it, you hear the volume of the crowd. They get excited when he has it, and it may only be a 15-yard return, but it's the most exciting 15-yard return. But he had a couple big ones today too.
Should mention Cam Michael at at running back today, and there was one play. He didn't have great stat line, but there was one play where you saw that burst from him, and he's one of the fastest guy on this football team. It'd be nice to get him in a rhythm. And Draylon Miller's another one that's going to use this bye week to get healthy.
Yeah, they need to find roles for guys like for Cam Michael because he's so talented, right? Yeah. And he obviously, I think, was it a punt return he had earlier this year before today? He had some touches today, but I think he only had one punt return. So he needs to have the ball in his hands. Not a lot, but I want to see more of that because he's so talented.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back on Tuesday. We're going to get a chance to talk to both coordinators during Colorado's bye week.